And I'm not gonna. He's a good coach. You don't win 11 games by accident in the SEC. If they think they're winning national championships with Dan Mullen, they've lost every bit of their fucking mind. He'll never beat Nick Saban. He'll never beat Kirby Smart. He'll never beat fucking Ed Orgeron. The dude he's a good coach. He's not an elite coach. And he thinks he's better than he is with his dork-ass pleated pants and Jordans. Bro, get a fucking clue. They'll never, I'm telling you now, Dan Mullen there, put that shit on the record. They will never win a national championship with that dude at head coach.
Bro, you have me dying right now. I am rolling around. Oh my God.
But am I lying about who they are? You would think that they've come off 5 national titles in a row the way they talk. Georgia has kicked your ass the last 3 years. LSU went up and down the field, and that now Kyle Trask is the end-all be-all.
Yeah.
Dude, they were great. Think about when they won their championships. They had a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback in Tim Tebow. And I know Chris Leak started as a true freshman, but the second time they won, it was their third championship, but the second time under Urban, you had a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback in Tim Tebow. And when you won in 96, you had one of the greatest college passers ever in Danny Werfel. And truthfully, if Arizona State doesn't blow a fourth-quarter touchdown to Joe Germain, Florida doesn't win the national title. Arizona State would have been your national champion. And quite frankly, they never should have got a second shot at Florida State. But that's a whole different story. They don't have that guy.
And also, I mean, the fact that they had Urban Meyer. I know a lot of people, have, their opinions on Urban Meyer, but he truly is one of the best coaches in college football history. And so that didn't help them. That didn't hurt them in 06 and 08 when they were winning. So I could not agree more. I've spent way too much time as it is arguing with those dorks.
Yeah, you have. I try to text you every now and then, like, it's not worth it. I do the same thing to Hugh Douglas here. Hugh's my guy. He'll get on social media and start arguing with a guy with 9 followers. I'm like, Hugh, you made like $80 million in the NFL. Why are you arguing with some guy that's in his basement with no pants on? Like, come on, let that guy be.
I'm maturing. I just get feisty and I feel like I have to respond, but I'm getting better. I feel like.
No, you know what? Trust me, I've gone through, and there's still times I do right now. And I've had whoever the guy was that called me a twat the other day. All right, bro, I got your twat. That's real simple. Tell me that next time you see me in Miami. Exactly. I have my opinion. Like my opinion, there's the unfollow button. I don't give a shit. If I got 10 followers, I got 20,000. It doesn't make me a difference. And that Harrison dork kid that everybody's killed for some of his takes, he's a guy that you just like to hang on a hook and stick him in a gym locker. Like, that's where he belongs.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more, man. And one of my favorite tidbits that I just learned the other day was that Kyle Trask was a career backup to De'Aaron King in high school, which is just perfect. I mean, that is so poetic. I love it. It's my favorite thing about this football season right now.
It's crazy. He never started a game in his life, or at least in his major life, until the week after Felipe Franks got hurt against Kentucky. So, they found lightning in a bottle, no doubt. And I like Kyle Trask. I think the kid can play. But, to think, again, do we really think Kyle Trask is a national champion quarterback? Come on, man. No, and you lost Greenard. They lost a ton of pieces on defense. I can't wait to see Florida crash back down to earth with 3 or 4 losses this year. And I heard rumors, they're unsubstantiated, but I heard rumors that they wind their way out of not having to play Alabama. Because originally the way the SEC's 2 new crossover games were going to work, they were just going to take who your crossover game was set to be in 2021, and they were going to add those 2 this year. The rumor is that Florida didn't like that idea because they would have had to then play Alabama, LSU, Georgia, and I forgot who the fourth crossover or the other crossover game is from the West. But, that 3 there, you might have 3 losses on your schedule right then.
Yep. Hey, John, we loved having you on, man. You're welcome on the show anytime. Unfortunately, we gotta get to our next guest. But dude, thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead and plug your stuff again before we send you packing.
Man, the easiest place to find me, John Michaels U on Twitter. Follow me there at State of Miami Pod is the podcast page. We're on iTunes, Google Pod, Spotify, whatever it may be. And I have to reciprocate. You guys got to come on mine as well. And I think one of you tweeted this the other day, and I couldn't agree anymore. I know there's times that people like to be competitive and there's beef amongst podcasts. Fuck that. We can all eat. There's a Canes nation across the country. Stop hating on other people's podcasts. Go on there, rep your shit, have a great time. And guys, thank you for having me on as always.
Agreed, man.
And I wanted to just quickly say, I really I probably already told you this, but when you stepped in for me after my whole dad situation and you guys did the Dan Cilio interview, I really appreciated that. So thank you very much for that, brother.
Yep.
Oh, dude, anytime, man. Anytime.
Okay, thanks,
right.
man. Go Canes.
All right, guys.
All right, so we're running a little bit behind with Coach Manasco, so I'm going to call him in right now before we talk about that, if that's cool. Hello?
Hello.
Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. So we now welcome on Mike Manasco, head football coach for Miami Palmetto High School. If you guys don't know, we have a few players from his team committed to Miami right now. Thank you so much for coming on, Coach.
Awesome, man. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Cool. So I wanted to just ask you first. So you graduated from Palmetto High School, is that correct?
Yeah, class of 97.
Okay. So for the past few years, what's it been like coaching for your alma mater?
It's been surreal, man. It's been good to get back into the neighborhoods that, I grew up in and be around, really I've been coaching a lot of the kids that I played with their moms and dads. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been good, building the program back and, really hoping to take it to heights it's never been.
Well, I mean, you guys are obviously doing a tremendous job right now. We wanted to ask you about some of those players. Obviously Miami fans, we were sad that we couldn't, land Jason Marshall and Corey Collier. Best of luck to those guys. We know that they are going to kill it. But we wanted to go through each of the three guys that are committed to Miami right now. So let's start with Leonard Taylor, 5-star defensive tackle, who's the most recent to give his pledge to the 2021 class for Miami. In your opinion as a coach, what separates Leonard from other defensive tackles and makes him such an incredible, player and such a highly touted recruit?
You don't get guys with his size and his athleticism at the high school level that often. So, just him being 6'4.5", 6'5", and he's up to 290 right now. I mean, he's just blown up. Just his athleticism, his hips, his feet, his hands, his drive to want to be better. He's very, very coachable, great kid. He's a kid that I would let babysit my kids. He's that kind of young man.
Yeah, so Marsh and I have, discussed at length. We're very excited about having Leonard in this class. One of the things that sticks out is the sack numbers that he posts. You don't see that a lot from defensive tackles. We've compared him to, obviously it's big shoes a big comparison to live up to, but we've compared him to Warren Sapp, and that athleticism, his ability to get to the quarterback and get those sack numbers from the defensive tackle position. Do you see that kind of ceiling in a player like Leonard?
Oh, absolutely. He could play all 9 techs up front on the defensive line. He's not going to be a kid that's going to be stuck as a 3 technique or a 2-eye. He's a guy you can move all the way to a wide 9 and come off the edge just because he has that type of length and athleticism. He's really like one of the first D linemen that I've had that can dominate anywhere you put him on the field. I mean, he can do that at any level. I mean, he's a kid that'll play on Sunday.
Oh, we love to hear that, man. I can't tell you how happy we are that he and the two other guys that we're going to talk about are coming to play for the Hurricanes. So let's move to Savion Collins, the other defensive tackle, and one of the longest commits Miami has had in their 2021 class. I feel that not many Canes fans know enough about Collins as a player because, he's probably, he's a little bit more quiet than Leonard, because Leonard has had all this hype in the past few months. Why don't you talk about Savion Collins a little bit? And because he's a bigger guy than Leonard Taylor. What makes him so disruptive at DT?
Well, first of all, with Savion, just going back to the whole process of who he is he is very quiet. He's very reserved. He's very mature. He's not a guy that's going to do a bunch of interviews. He's not a guy that's going to post a bunch of stuff on social media. When we got Savion, he came over to our program last summer. He was by far my most improved defensive player throughout the season. He just caught on to our culture and the way that we do things. And by the end of the season, I mean, he was one of the most dominating kids we had. And then, from January to March, when we got to work out with the kids, he was just an animal. I mean, this spring would have been so big for Savion, if we would have had it. But I mean, with his, he's a kid, you probably guys don't know this, but you could put him in a 40-yard dash and he'd run a 4.8 on a laser at 325 pounds.
Jeez.
Like he can fly. He's not quite as athletic as Leonard moving, side to side, but he's got that burst up the middle that you need, whereas Savion will stay at that 0 to 1 to 2-eye to 3 technique and just dominate. I mean, you watch him. I mean, he blows blocks up, and he's getting so much more physical with his hands. Being with Leonard has really helped him a lot, because Savion didn't grow up playing football. Leonard did, and so once Savion started playing in the 9th grade, he was just a big kid, and then now he's starting to be just a grown man. I mean, his upside's tremendous.
Well, it sounds like their play styles are fairly complementary to each other, and I'm hoping that our defensive line looks similar to the one that you have in a few years. It'd be great to see those two playing together. Starting right next to each other on the D line, and for the Hurricanes in 3 or 4 years. So very excited about that, man.
So when we talked about, Leonard Taylor, obviously his pass rushing skills stand out as a defensive tackle. When you look at a guy like Savion Collins, what do you think his biggest strengths are at that position?
He's very explosive out of his hips. His punch is tremendous. I mean, he's going to be a guy that's not going to get blown back. When he plays with leverage and he plays with a flat back, he's unblockable. He needs to be in the environment that Miami's going to create for him, where he's going to compete every single day in practice to play. And then Saturday should just be a lot of fun for him. I mean, because, there's no high school offensive lineman that's blocking that kid.
So when you look at, a Manny Diaz defense, how well do you see those two guys fitting in to that kind of scheme?
Oh, I love what Manny does. Manny's a friend, and, his attacking style, especially from what he wants from his interior defensive lineman, just fit perfectly with what Leonard and Savion can do. I know Leonard's going to play some end for, at some point, but the same thing. I mean, Manny Pierce, pins their ears back and lets them go. And these are the type of kids that are going to flourish in that system.
That's awesome. And so the third guy that we want to talk about is Brashard Smith, and who and all of Twitter knows I'm a huge fan of. And I've talked about him on this podcast, and I've written articles about him. What makes Brashard such a dynamic playmaker, and why should Miami fans be so excited about him?
It's funny. That's how I came to hear about you, because since I've had Brashard as a freshman, I've been telling every college in the country he's the best offensive player in Dade County. He just needs time to grow and get bigger, and he has. I mean, he has filled out. I mean, the speed's always been there. Brashard, he's a guy that can hit a home run every time he's on the field. He can take it a distance. He's got great football IQ. We line him up all over the field. Rhett Lashley's just going to have a fun time putting him in different spots and finding ways to get him the ball, because that's it. I mean, offense is not that complicated. Just get the ball to Brashard Smith. He is that kind of player.
Cool. Love hearing that, man. Marsh always compares him to, he calls him Jeff Thomas 2.0. And just that alone is very exciting to us, especially when Thomas got here as a freshman, man. He lit everything up. So if Brashard can give us some of that, we're not going to complain about it at all, man.
I just to say, Brashard will give you more. I mean, he's got the body. He's got 185 pounds on him already, and that's without a college weight room. That's without a college meal plan. And his speed is just, you don't find kids that can laser a 4.4. I mean, people talk about it all the time, but that's not a lot of real talk, especially in high school.
That is insane. So, I mean, yeah, I've compared him a little bit to Jeff Thomas and also, Percy Harvin, things like that. Percy was the kind of guy that, like you said, with Brashard, you can line him up, in the slot, in the backfield. Is there another player, college or pro, that is that you can kind of compare to Brashard's skill set?
Percy was one of my top, comparisons, but the